Hi, this is Skye. I know that I did a video like a year ago and talked about how I got here. And what happened is not completely everything, but what happened is that my phone got destroyed, and the rest of that video that I wanted to share with you at that moment in time is gone. Which is fine because I'm back to you today. And I really appreciate you asking me, hello, you left us hanging. So how I got here is one of my best friends died in 2010, and her baby in childbirth. And that month was the horriblest month of my life. I lost my best friend, one of my best friends. She was my soul sister. Was supposed to be my soul niece. And before that, I wasn't that happy in corporate world, of business world. I knew I was changing inside, but I didn't know how to get out of where I was because I was doing really well. I was very successful. I loved a lot of the people I was working with. And then the recession hit, the Great Recession, and people changed and shifted. It went from a lot of really amazing, honest people to a lot of darkness creeping in. And so I found myself, as one of my colleagues said, standing outside the loo, you feel like you're prostituting yourself, don't you, right now? I'm like, yeah. And I went home, I'm like, I don't want to prostitute myself anymore. But then within a not very long period of time, I lost one of my very closest friends and sisters. And it really crushed me. It got to the point from me being able to be really strong. All my armor was on all the time, especially as a woman in business. And before that, we all knew there was this glass ceiling out there for ladies. And then the Great Recession hit, and men who had always been there for me to help weed me through the garden of the corporate world, a lot of those, they just didn't know what to do. And so I was left on my own. And at that point in time, they were just trying to fend for their own selves. And the ladies in my business, which there was very few in that industry, we found ourselves in a really strange predicament for the first time. So when my friend passed, I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. There's been such a huge shift in the world. I cannot do this anymore. But I didn't know what to do. And so I just kept on going. I actually went for another company, got a huge promotion in the industry. And then I was sick. I was literally sick. I got so sick, I almost ended up in the hospital. Then all my other female friends and male friends that were working like me were getting sick. I'm talking physically sick, where your body was shutting down. And I knew that something was happening out there, but I didn't understand it. So then fast forward, not that much time, I also lost my fiance. And he moved and started a new life. And it's like, okay. And then I got in a horrible car accident, and I was physically damaged, and I went into depression because all these other things were happening, and my serotonin level was so low, and I didn't know how to cope with it. And so I'm like, not moving. And then we found out they told us the doctor says, your mom only has a few months to live. And she has Scleroderma, which is, there's no cure. And she had the worst kind. Well, when each of your organs start shutting down and like marbleizing, you become like petrified wood. Each one of your organs becomes a petrified wood. Your skin starts changing. My mom was my rock, the rock of my world. I had thought about traveling a lot and even moving. My mom basically said, don't leave, daughter. I love you too much. And I'm like, okay, Mom. And I even had the conversation with her, like, a year before that, I'm like, she said to me, you know what, Skye? You're going to have to learn to be your own best friend. And I'm like, I don't want to be my own best friend. I want you in my life. And she goes, someday I'm not going to be here. And I go, no, 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 no. I'm going first. I'm going first. So when they gave me the news that my mom was going to die and there was no cure, my mom's the one that taught me to be positive, to be optimistic. She taught me healthy, wealthy, and wise. She made me say that since I was a little girl. And now my rock was crumbling in front of me and I didn't know what to do. So from some grace from divine powers, my mom had this illness that not even the nurses or the doctors knew how to deal with. There was nothing. No, it's rare. And so my mom ended up in the hospital all the time. And I had to leave my job because she was more important. And even my animals were sick and they were dying too from crazy illnesses. I mean, there's all these things happening. There was no more that could happen. At least at that point, the fiance breaking up, got in a horrible car crash. My pets were dying. One of my best friends and her baby had died in childbirth. The business that I was in had shifted so drastically. The evil and the corruption had creeped in, and I didn't know what to do. And then standing there, my mom, who had taught me that I was magical, special, unique individual, I didn't know what to do. I had no idea. But because all of me had to stop, completely stop. And the old me could no longer function in this environment. I had to go into my psychic and go into my internal pharmacy. The internal pharmacy, which means we have power inside of us to heal us, to help us, to keep us going. My mom, I tried so hard while she was in the hospital to help her get back to that place. But she was so scared. She was so scared. Fear gripped her so tight that she could not get back into her internal pharmacy. And so she was relying solely on the 3D, solely relying on conventional medicine to heal her. It wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. So I slept on the floor at the hospital, and so did my other family members. And she told me one night, she goes, I can't live this way anymore. I can't live like an animal in a cage. I can't do it. And most of the time, a lot of times she was medicated and she didn't exactly know what was happening, but she was crystal clear on how she felt. And so I'm like, you know what? We need to go into hospice, because my mom is not gonna sit in this bed like a caged animal and die here. She needs to get her dignity and her free will back. And I had the power to do that. But more than anything, everyone, I had no idea how to deal with this disease, this incurable disease. The doctors, nurses, I went into myself. I went into my creative intelligence and my creative mind and into my soul, and I dug deep. And I didn't even know I was doing it. It wasn't like I consciously did. It just happened. And I instinctively knew what to do for my mom and how to care for her while she was sick. And it was crazy. And I wasn't even physically there, as far as my physicality. I wasn't thinking about physicality. I definitely was taking care of myself and making sure I ate and, took care of myself and cleaning and all that, because I wanted to take care of my mom and I wanted to make sure I didn't get her sick, and I needed to have the energy. So I went back to my complete primal self. Complete primal self. Because when everything is stripped away from you, that's all you can do. But when we have all this armor around us and all these distractions around us, it's so easy to cloak ourselves with other people's feelings, other people's emotions. I didn't have that luxury anymore. I did not have that luxury anymore. And so I had to strip it all off. I didn't even do it. It just happened. Divine powers took everything away from me and said, and I just like, whoa, I didn't even have time to mourn after any of my losses. I didn't have time because I had this woman, this beautiful, amazing woman, my mother, that needed me. I didn't have no time for that. You know, sorry, it wasn't going to happen. There was no time for those distractions. Not only the rest of them, which is, you know, like work, making money. No, no, didn't have time for that. So I'm telling you, when crazy stuff happens and tragedy happens, and when all the horrible things are happening to us or to you or to me, you don't realize that. We don't realize that, but there's something happening. There's a miracle happening. We don't know exactly what it is yet, but if we believe in ourselves, even if we don't believe in ourselves, because you know what? During this process, it's teaching you to believe in yourself because you don't have any more choices. So that's where I was. And then my mom. All I can say is watching someone that you love. The process of dying is hard. The process, I mean, from the time that the people are sick, when they're in and out of the hospital, in and out of the doctors, trying all these different drugs and nothing's working for them on a physicality, 3D. 3D is conventional thinking that we're just gadgets and all that, and that we attend to sickness from the external versus the internal, which I'm talking about internal, mind, body, spirit, and those types of things. But when you're forced and you don't have a choice, that's when your life shifts completely. So on my next video, I'm going to talk about the complete switch. As far as the big day. So I love you. I really appreciate your patience. I needed this time to reground myself, to regroup and reroute myself. And I really appreciate your patience. And I look forward to my next video, which will be within the next 7 days, I promise. So take care. I love you.